true real-life story outline. She came just to watch, until the SEAL commander saw her tattoo and went completely silent. A story of hidden sacrifice, recognition, and the brotherhood that never forgets. Story, at a glance genre, true life military, human interest, emotional drama setting, a Navy SEAL homecoming ceremony, Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, San Diego, California, a sun-drenched afternoon that turns unexpectedly still. Central subject, Margaret Maggie Calloway, 71, a retired schoolteacher from Pensacola, Florida. Emotional core, a woman who never sought recognition, discovers that the people she quietly served for 3 decades have never forgotten her, and one of them commands the room she just walked into. The Hook, opening scene. The ceremony is already underway when Maggie Calloway slips in through a side gate and takes a seat in the back row. She is not on any official list. She has no family member deploying, no ribbon pinned to her blouse, no reason, by any outward measure, to be there. She tells the volunteer usher that she simply wanted to feel close to something meaningful on a Tuesday afternoon. The men standing in formation ahead are U.S. Navy SEALs, just returned from a classified 9-month deployment. Their commander, Captain Daniel Reyes, 44, stands at the front of the formation, composed, decorated, and visibly moved. His family is in the front row. The crowd of several hundred fills the base amphitheater under a cloudless California sky. Reyes begins scanning the crowd, a habit ingrained by years of threat assessment. His eyes move row by row, methodically, professionally, and then they stop. He stares at the back row, at a small woman in a floral blouse, at the inside of her left forearm, where a faded tattoo, small, deliberate, unmistakable, catches the afternoon light. The commander goes completely silent mid-sentence. Background. Who is Maggie Calloway? Margaret Calloway spent 31 years as a high school English teacher at Pensacola Naval Air Station's dependent school, a position she called the best job nobody talks about. She taught the children of enlisted personnel, officers, and special operations families across 3 decades, watching her students move through deployments, PCS orders, loss, and homecoming. What almost no one knew, not her principal, not her colleagues, not most of her family, was what Maggie did outside of school hours. For over 20 years, she quietly maintained a letter-writing program she had started on her own, corresponding personally with deployed service members who had no family to write to them. She sourced their names through chaplains and family readiness officers who trusted her discretion. She never publicized it. She never received a grant or formal recognition. She wrote, on average, 4 to 6 handwritten letters per week. Personal, warm, specific to each individual, their hometown, their interests, something she had looked up just to give the letter weight. Over 2 decades, military historians who later documented her effort estimated she had sent correspondence to more than 2,200 service members. At the bottom of every letter, beneath her signature, Maggie drew the same small symbol, a single open book with a candle inside it, her personal mark, something she had designed herself and used since the program's first year. She never explained it in the letters. She thought of it simply as her way of saying, someone is keeping a light on. She had the symbol tattooed on the inside of her left forearm the year she retired, in 2019, a private commemoration, a promise made permanent. The recognition. What the commander knew. Daniel Reyes enlisted at 18, the son of a migrant farm worker from Laredo, Texas. He had no family in the military, no network, no one who fully understood what the work was, or how lonely the long stretches of silence could become. During his second deployment, a 7-month tour in 2003, when he was 21 years old, and had not yet made it through BUD's S, a letter arrived with his name on it. The return address said Pensacola. He did not know anyone in Pensacola. The letter was from a woman who introduced herself only as M. Calloway, English teacher. She had looked up that he grew up near the Texas border and had written about the landscape, the way the light looked flat and golden in the afternoon over open country, and how she imagined it must look entirely different where he was, but maybe the light had something similar in it regardless. She told him she hoped he was eating enough. She told him she was proud of him, and that she did not need to know him to mean it. Reyes had received no other mail that deployment. He read that letter 4 times. He wrote back. She responded. They corresponded for 2 more deployments, always warm, always slightly formal, always signed with that same small drawing at the bottom. He had wondered about the symbol for years. He never got an answer in writing. After 2008, the correspondence stopped. Reyes had moved through special operations pipelines. His contact information changed. The logistical chain broke. He assumed she had moved on, or that he had simply slipped through the system. He had not forgotten the letters. He had not forgotten the drawing. And now, across a crowded homecoming amphitheater, 23 years later, he was looking at that exact symbol on the arm of a 71-year-old woman sitting alone in the back row. The moment. What happens next? The silence stretches long enough that Reyes's executive officer quietly steps to his side. The crowd begins to shift. Someone near the front coughs. Reyes does not explain himself. He steps down from the platform. He walks the length of the amphitheater, past his family, past the assembled press, past several hundred people who have gone entirely quiet, and he stops in front of the back row. He crouches down so he is at eye level with Maggie Calloway. According to 3 witnesses interviewed separately, he says, "You wrote to me in 2003. You told me you were proud of me, and you didn't need to know me to mean it." Maggie stares at him. She does not immediately recognize him by face. She has written to thousands of people, and has photographs of almost none of them. But she understands what is happening. She says quietly, "Did it help?" Reyes, a decorated combat commander with nearly 25 years of service, does not answer right away. Then he says, "More than I can tell you in front of all these people." He takes her hand. He stands up. He brings her to the front of the ceremony. The aftermath, the story that unfolds. What follows is not a scripted moment, but an unscripted unraveling of something that has been quietly true for decades. In the days after the ceremony, Reyes speaks publicly about Maggie's letter-writing program, which none of his colleagues, and none of her former co-workers, had known about in its full scope. A military family readiness coordinator, who had been one of Maggie's contacts for 15 years, is interviewed on camera and becomes emotional, confirming the scale of what she had done, entirely without recognition. Letters surface. Service members and veterans across the country, many of them now in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, begin sharing photographs of letters they had kept. Some had kept them for 20 years. Some had kept them through multiple moves, through difficult periods, through things they had not told anyone. A retired Marine sergeant from Georgia says on camera that he kept his letter folded in his wallet for 11 years before the paper wore through. Maggie is asked, repeatedly, why she never told anyone. Her answer is consistent. She did not think it was something that needed to be announced. She was a teacher. She knew how to make people feel seen. She had time, and they needed letters. She is asked about the tattoo. She says she got it because she needed to mark that she had done something she was proud of, even if no one else knew what it meant. "I didn't need anyone to see it," she says. "I just needed it to be there." Core themes: invisible generosity. The extraordinary scale of what Maggie did was invisible by design. Not from false modesty, but from a genuine belief that the act itself was the point, not the acknowledgement. The weight of small things: a letter, a drawing, a symbol that one woman used to say, "I see you," without ever having met you. These small things endured for 2 decades across thousands of miles. Recognition delayed, not denied. The moment of recognition at the ceremony is powerful, precisely because neither party was looking for it. Reyes was not searching. Maggie was not waiting. The coincidence is the story. What we carry. Both Maggie and Reyes carried the same moment. A letter, a symbol, a brief connection, for over 20 years without knowing the other person still held it. Narrative structure: single part, opening, the ceremony, the crowd, the commander scanning the room, the silence. Section 1, Maggie's story: who she is, what she built in private, why she never told anyone. The origin of the tattoo. Section 2, Reyes's story: the 21-year-old who received a letter from a stranger, what it meant, what he carried, what he never forgot. Section 3, the convergence: the walk across the amphitheater, the crouch to eye level, the exchange, the hand. Section 4, the unraveling: what comes after, the letters surfacing, the witnesses speaking, the full scope of Maggie's decades of quiet work finally becoming known. Closing: Maggie's answer about the tattoo. The image of a woman who marked her own life with a symbol no one was ever supposed to see, and what it means that someone finally did. Storyteller's note. This story works because neither person is performing. Maggie was not at the ceremony to be found. Reyes did not walk across the amphitheater for effect. The story's emotional core is not the spectacle of a military homecoming. It is the specific, private, quietly enormous thing that one ordinary woman chose to do, alone, for 20 years, because she believed it mattered. The tattoo is the fulcrum. It is what she kept for herself. It is what gave her away. It is the detail that transforms a story about generosity into a story about identity, about who we are when no one is watching, and what happens on the rare, strange occasion when someone finally does.